The next day, Azure Dragon accompanied Levi to Morris Atkinson's grave. Morris was not buried in a proper cemetery because of the Garrison family's interference. He was simply buried in a secluded spot in the wild. Weeds had since covered his long unattended grave. Perhaps this grave will no longer be distinguishable after a few more years. I am here to see you, my brother, Levi said loudly. You were my first comrade in arms to weather the battlefield-like business world. No one will ever comprehend the bond we shared. Levi cleared the weeds on Morris' grave with his own hands and fixed his gravestone. Levi took a limited edition bottle of wine available only in the army and sat in front of his grave. Let's share this quality wine today, my brother. Levi gulped the content after he spoke. Azure Dragon, inform everyone in the Garrison family to pay the price for their terrible deeds here after 6 days. Levi commanded. Understood, sir. Azure Dragon nodded. Kieran, ask Nuv to bring a few men here to fix up this grave. I cannot allow my brother's grave to be in such a shabby condition, Levi told Kieran. Then he continued to drink the bottle of wine while taking a stroll down memory lane. I made a promise to Morris that I would provide him with the most luxurious Rolls-Royce during his wedding. Levi stayed at Morris's grave for almost an entire day. Let's go and visit Morris's parents. Levi straightened himself. I have located his parents, sir. They are staying in a village not far away from the city. Azure Dragon reported. Levi grimaced. What? Morris's parents worked as governmental staff in the past. They own a house in the city. So why are they staying in a village now? Azure Dragon hesitated briefly before he continued. The Garrison family is behind this. They revoked his parents' ownership of the house and their pension. So they had no other choice but to move to the village and are now barely surviving. Levi's expression darkened. The Garrison family drove Morris' parents to the brink of desperation. They would have been dead if not for their old age. I must destroy that wretched family. Let's go. I want to visit them. I think of them as my own parents now. Anyone who dares to lay a finger on them will face certain death. Azure Dragon and Kieran trembled fearfully as they listened to Levi's unforgiving words. It has been a very long time since he was so mad. I remember the last time was when he single-handedly faced the strongest battalion from those 18 countries. Nuv led a group of men to the spot and refurbished the grave shortly after the trio left. Trey and all the other mafia bosses from different gangs followed Nuv. They brought no lesser than 300 men with them. After all, it is our obligation to fulfill the task Mr. Levi gave us. The village was not far away from Northampton but was significantly more rural compared to the city. The people staying in that lawless area all came from complicated backgrounds. Homeless people and provocatively dressed women filled the dirty alleyways. Levi felt a heart-wrenching pain as he took in the surroundings. How can Morris' parents live in such a place? He finally found Morris' parents' abode in a small building with a total of 30 square meters located deep in an alleyway. Cough up the money now, you old fools. You are the only family left who have not paid the fee. Levi and the others heard the commotion from afar. They realized what was happening after they entered the courtyard. A few thugs with blonde hair were collecting protection fees from Morris's parents. The two of them had visibly aged from when Levi last saw them 6 years ago. It was obvious they had suffered greatly. Please give us a little more time. We will receive our subsistence allowance soon. I will make sure to pay you first by that time. Morris's father, Rowan Atkinson, was begging for mercy. Damn you. You told me the same thing last time. The leader of the gang raised his hand to slap Mr. Atkinson. His hand was stopped in midair as Levi caught his wrist firmly. Who the hell are you? Let go of me right away. The leader of the gang threatened. Bam! Levi punched his face forcefully. His head snapped back and blood spurted everywhere. The thug yelped in pain. Kieran and Azure Dragon handled the rest of the thugs. All of them scrambled away from the scene on all fours. The leader of the gang yelled before he fled. Damn you, old man. How dare you call for backup? I will summon Tiger here. Just you wait. They then left instantly. Mr. Atkinson and his wife closed their eyes hopelessly. Tiger was the boss in charge of the village. He had no lesser than 50 thugs working for him. And he had the guts to do as he pleased around the area. Tiger and his subordinates maintained a living by collecting protection fees from the villagers. Anyone who did not submit the fees or was late to hand in the money would get beaten up or even crippled at times. Tiger was a cruel man who had his share of living behind bars. His name would invoke fear in all of the villagers. Thank you, young man. You should leave while you can, Rowan said. Uncle, Aunt, it's me. Levi Garrison. Levi introduced himself passionately. Levi? Is it really you? This is great. It's so good to see you after so long. Rowan and his wife were on the verge of tears. Our dearest son, our only hope in this world, is gone. Seeing Levi now reminds us of Morris. Oh, Morris. Uncle, Aunt, please do not worry from now on. I will take care of you for the rest of your life in Morris' stead. No one will ever dare to lay a finger on both of you. Anger surged within Levi when he noticed the bruises on the old couple's necks. Bastards! They did not show any mercy to these elderlies. Rowan glanced at the ground floor and said in a hurry, Levi, you should leave immediately. They must have informed Tiger. He will be here soon. He is right. Your lives will be in danger once Tiger is here. That man is ruthless. You might even get crippled by him. Leave now while you can, my child. Morris' mother nudged Levi for him to run away. Uncle, Aunt, what will the both of you do if I leave? Levi asked. Do not worry about us. We will at most suffer a beating. Moreover, our lives aren't valuable anymore. You should survive and return to clear Morris' name. Avenge him. Rowan was tear-stricken as he talked. Levi comforted them. Fret not. I am now strong enough to protect the both of you and avenge Morris at the same time. That is not going to work. You have never seen Tiger in action. He even has the courage to murder someone. I see. This Tiger has instilled fear in everyone's mind upon hearing his name. Mr. and Mrs. Atkinson are trembling at the mention of Tiger. That means he must have bullied them frequently. Levi thought to himself. Please leave now. We do not want to trouble you with this matter. Morris' mother was anxious. She urged them to leave while glancing at the ground floor from time to time. Uncle, Aunt, please calm down. Nothing will happen now that I am here. I want to meet this Tiger in person as well. Levi turned to look at Kieran. Ask Nuv and his men to come here. Kieran nodded. Yes, sir. Go. Go now. It's dangerous for you to stay. No, wait. It's too late now. They're already here. Rowan said frightfully. Over 10 men, wielding batons and all kinds of weapons, entered their vision. The scary man leading the group was wearing a singlet. The tattoo of a tiger was clearly visible on his torso. Who the hell punched my brother? Show yourself this instant. Tiger roared at the top of his lungs some distance away. The other residents hurriedly shut their windows in fear. They wanted nothing to do with the mess. The two elderlies grasped Levi's arms as they heard Tiger's voice. Levi patted them. There's nothing to be afraid of. Tiger and his men reached the staircase swiftly, where Kieran and Azure Dragon were standing guard. Tiger's face turned sour when he saw Kieran and Azure Dragon's imposing manner. He sensed danger from the menacing aura exuding from their bodies. Who hit my brother? He asked. Tiger was furious because no one had ever dared to defy him in the village. He had always gotten his way each and every time. So it was an unprecedented scenario for his subordinate to be hit by another person. That's the reason why he came to seek revenge in person. Levi said with a smile. It was me. Aren't you the daredevil? Are you Rowan's relative? How dare you call for help to beat up my subordinate, Rowan Atkinson? I will torture you and your wife to my heart's content. Tiger threatened the old couple blatantly in front of Levi. Rowan and his wife were scared out of their wits. They begged for mercy right away. Please forgive my nephew, Mr. Tiger. I beg of you. I promise there will be no next time. I can forgive him if you pay me 500,000 for the medical fee. I will call it even if each of them breaks one of their arms. Tiger sneered. What? 500,000? The couple of elderlies were dumbstruck with terror. You can't do that. They are still young. So please don't break their arms. Please break our arms instead. Tears streamed down Rowan's cheeks as he begged Tiger. That's not going to work. Your arms are not as worthy as theirs. Hey, are the three of you deaf? Don't force me to break your arms myself. Tiger's lips curled upward maliciously. Vroom, vroom, vroom. The sound of tires screeching reverberated in the alleyway as multiple cars closed in on the area. The sound attracted Tiger and his men's attention. They turned around to look at the source of the noise. More than 10 vans skidded to a stop. Countless men rushed out from the vans and dashed into the courtyard. Click, click, click. The men assembled themselves around the narrow space and surrounded Tiger and his subordinates. The newcomers glared at the thugs with a baton in each of their hands. Mr. Tiger, I have counted their numbers. They have around 200 people here, not counting the other 100 standing outside. A thug reported shakily. What? 300 people? Tiger and the other thugs were astounded. They scanned the surroundings and discovered a problem. Every one of these men is huge and muscular. I can tell that they are skilled fighters because of the sinister aura they are giving off. These people are on a completely different level compared to us. Each of them can defeat 5 of us effortlessly. What is going on here? Tiger was trembling in fear as well. At that moment, a smaller group of people appeared. Nuv walked in front with 3 other mafia bosses following closely behind him. Lord Nuv? And that's Trey and 2 other mafia bosses from North Hampton? Tiger recognized the powerful men because he was an experienced thug. I am at most qualified to be Trey's subordinate, while Nuv is certainly a figure far beyond my reach. What brings you here, Lord Nuv? Tiger greeted him politely with a bow. But Nuv completely disregarded Tiger. He walked towards the staircase and addressed Levi courteously. Please give us your orders, Mr. Levi. What? Tiger and his men were caught in disbelief as they witnessed the scene unfolded in front of their eyes. Lord Nuv is so polite towards him. Who is that young man? Everyone was dumbfounded, including the Atkinsons. They stared at Levi incredulously. I can tell these people are far more capable than Tiger based on his reaction. But even they had to pay respect to Levi. Levi merely waved his hand. They bullied my godfather and godmother. I will let you handle the rest. He led the old couple into the house after he spoke. Nuv turned around slowly and smiled at Tiger and his men ominously after he received the instruction. Beat them up. Show no mercy. Tiger and his subordinates almost passed out from hearing Nuv's words. Rush them. Tiger and his gang members were helpless facing the crowd. The fighters barely warmed up themselves, but Tiger's party was already lying on the ground. Nuv's men hit their opponents with batons mercilessly. Tiger received the worst beating. Soon, he was lying in a pool of blood as his body twitched continuously. His men received a similar fate. Levi could not care less about the things happening outside the house because he had faith in Nuv's competency in dealing with the men and cleaning up the mess. I am quite sure I will not see a drop of blood on the floor by the time I walk through the door. You are so impressive, Levi. Rowan looked at Levi in amazement. Levi smiled. Be rest assured, uncle. I have the capabilities now. I will make the entire Garrison family kneel before Morris' grave 6 days later to pay the price for their terrible deeds. Huh? Rowan thought the idea was unthinkable. But he felt a tiny bit of hope after what happened earlier. Uncle, Aunt, I hope I can have the honor of referring the both of you as my godparents from now on. We will move out of this place tonight. Levi brought the Atkinsons away shortly after. The courtyard was spotless as Levi expected. Moreover, there wasn't a single trace of the crowd left behind in the courtyard. Levi arranged for Rowan and his wife to stay in a 5-star hotel that night. He planned to purchase a new villa for them the next day. Meanwhile, the Garrison family received Levi's invitation. Brian Garrison said mockingly, Levi has the guts to summon all of us to kneel before Morris Atkinson's grave. He must be dreaming. Joseph responded nonchalantly. Levi does not have a clue about the Garrison family's influence, after all. Haha, I can't wait to see the desperate expression on Levi's face 6 days later. Ben and Jacob laughed out loud. Rick was a meticulous man, so he couldn't help but asked. Brian, are you absolutely sure Nuv is the man who is supporting Levi? Brian reassured him. I am certain about that, uncle. Nuv went to clean up Morris Atkinson's grave today and even visited his parents' house in the village. I also heard Nuv beat up the gang leader, Tiger, who's in charge of that area. So I am sure Nuv is the person. There's no mistake about this. Rick nodded. That's a weight off my chest in that case. But we should proceed with caution nonetheless. Don't worry, Rick. I have contacted Jack Smith earlier. He promised to come in person and bring along all his men to support us. Joseph put on a wicked smile. Levi Garrison, we had our ways of ruining your life 6 years ago. Now, we will force you to realize how easily we can muck up your life again. The next day, Levi contacted Chloe, but all he could hear was her mumbling through the speaker as if she was occupied. Tell me your location. I will come find you. Levi said impatiently. I am at Northampton City Center's Sue's Western Cuisine restaurant. Chloe informed Levi of her whereabouts. Levi drove his car towards the aforementioned restaurant immediately. Meanwhile, in Sue's Western Cuisine restaurant, Chloe sat at a table awkwardly. A middle-aged couple sat beside her. They were her parents, Theodore Macy and Susie Shorts. A young man and another middle-aged couple sat opposite them. Chloe's parents had forced her to attend a blind date. She was closing in on her 30s, after all. So it was understandable why her parents are starting to get anxious. The young man seated opposite her was Vernon Tate. He has a net worth of over $10 million and owned 5 properties across Northampton. Vernon Tate was determined to get what he wanted for the blind date today. Although Chloe was an excellent woman, Vernon was certain that he was still better than her. His parents shared the same sentiment, which explained their relatively arrogant attitude during the meeting. Theodore Macy and Susie Shorts were satisfied with Vernon Tate as their potential son-in-law. If you do not have any objection, Theodore, let's allow the young ones to get together. Vernon's father, Larry Tate, said. Ah? That's great. Vernon is an outstanding young man. He is the right man for our daughter. Chloe's parents were delighted. Chloe knew Vernon was a good fit for her in every aspect. But the thought of someone flashed across her mind all of a sudden. She immediately rejected the idea. No way. I think we still need more time to understand one another. What? How much further do you need to understand one another? You are sufficiently familiar with each other by now. Chloe's rejection did not amuse Larry and Vernon Tate. This is moving too fast. We have only known each other for less than a month. Chloe steeled her resolution. Vernon looked at Chloe surprisingly. We can always get to know each other better after we start dating. Moreover, I think we are already familiar with one another. We are not getting younger, after all. I believe our relationship is heading towards marriage. Theodore, Larry and their wives nodded in agreement. He is right. At that moment, a figure arrived at the scene. The man was none other than Levi Garrison. He grabbed Chloe's arm and ordered assertively. Follow me. I need to talk to you about something. Everyone was dumbfounded, including Chloe. She did not expect Levi to be in such a rush to the extent of grabbing her by force. Who are you? What are you doing? Let go of her. Larry Tate was the first to regain his senses. Theodore and Susie eyed Levi curiously. Who is he, Chloe? He looks a little familiar. Chloe answered helplessly. He is Levi Garrison. Chloe's parents were taken aback. What? Levi Garrison? No wonder he looks familiar. What is he doing here? Why are you still keeping contact with him? We used to be in the same class. It's only natural we kept in touch. Chloe explained. Larry Tate questioned immediately. What is the meaning of this, Theodore? Did you arrange for Chloe to undergo 2 blind dates at the same time? Levi finally grasped the situation. Theodore quickly clarified. That's not it. He's her ex-classmate. Moreover, he's nothing compared to Vernon. Levi is just a poor loser who's fresh out of prison. He doesn't even have a job. Larry Tate's expression softened significantly upon hearing that. They could not help the exaggerated reaction because they sensed the odd emotions glinted in Chloe's eyes upon Levi's arrival.